Alright, so I finally moved in and got everything settled and just in time for this week's movies. And tonight I saw Christopher Robin, which is another Winnie the Pooh movie, but it is a live action movie about an older version of Christopher Robin, an adult version, played by Ewan McGregor, and Pooh and them come back after he has forgotten about them since he has become an adult. And I'm gonna say it right here. This movie surprised me. This was a damn good movie. Winnie the Pooh, is of course something that I grew up with, something that I watched as a kid, and it always was something that I enjoyed. And watching this movie, I felt like a kid again. But I also felt like an adult in this movie too, because this movie is rated PG. So it's, but of course, it's not gonna be anything like overly like adult, but this is the most adult Winnie the Pooh movie, even though it's got things that are just like the show for kids or the movies. But I really enjoyed this movie because it did a good job of giving a different tone between this adult Christopher Robin and what he's going through, and then these characters coming out, Winnie the Pooh and all of them, and their personalities are the personalities we knew as kids. So I love seeing that dynamic between adult Christopher Robin versus them, and I like the fact that he has forgotten about them because he grew up. He got married, he had a kid, he went to war. He has had all this happen to him, and then bringing them back, he has a hard time realizing if it's true or not, if they're actually here or not, and dealing with like the struggles of his family, the struggle of his wife and his kid, and how he isn't connecting with them very well because he's so tied up with work. He hasn't laughed in years, is what his wife Haley Atwell says in the movie. Um, and the thing I really enjoyed about this movie too is that it felt very old school Disney. I've noticed recently that we've got like Disney makes so many movies every year, and I noticed that there's usually all the ones that have a lot of modern references, not to the extent of like DreamWorks, but there are Disney movies that have more modern references than others. Um, but this, along with like Pete's Dragon in 2016, these two movies really feel more quote unquote timeless because they don't have any references to anything modern. And I'm not dogging on any Disney movies that use references, but I feel like this one will be more feel more genuine in the future because it doesn't have as many modern references to stuff. But like I said, Disney has never always been that. Like they're not always referencing things modern in these newer movies. They just do that a little more. Like for example, in Moana, whenever the Rock's character Maui mentions tweeting, like it's funny, but it's like that's a joke that maybe 100, 200 years from now, like, will people understand what that means if Twitter's still there? But who knows? Twitter might still be there, but still, like what I'm trying to say is the authenticity in this one, and since it's a period piece too, it's not current time. It really benefits from it. It really makes it feel so much more of a classic. And I really, really enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed all the characters. I thought Ewan McGregor, of course, is such a fantastic actor, anyways. And of course, he sold it in this movie. And then Haley Atwell is great in this movie, even though she's not in it as much. And that's basically and the daughter, and that's basically all the human characters besides like Ewan McGregor's like workers, which are kind of just to the sidelines. Um, and then we've got all the voices of all the characters from Winnie the Pooh. And I like the fact that a couple of these actors in this like are pretty recent actors that are replacements because Winnie the Pooh, of course, has been going on since been 60s, 70s since they've made the animation, Disney animation. I think it was based on a book before, but like the Disney animation probably started like 60s, 70s Winnie the Pooh. Um, I know the movie came out in the 70s, but 77, but the show might have been before that. But I like the fact that some of these actors who replace these characters in this movie are really good. Like Brad Garrett is a really good choice for Eeyore. Like that's a funny choice. I really thought that was awesome. He cracks me up, and his voice, like, I know he just sounds like this anyways, but it reminds me of how he sounds in Everybody Loves Raymond, where he's Robert, and he's got that low, grovelly voice. It works for Eeyore. Like, it feels like Eeyore, and I think that was a cool casting choice. I really like that, and I looked it up, and it said that he apparently did voice Eeyore in a couple, like, different Disney, like, things in the past, like in the 90s. I don't think it was shows, but I think it was, like, maybe, like, CD-ROMs or something with Eeyore in it. But I just think that's funny that was good casting. That was a good replacement. And, of course, Jim Cummings, who's done this for, like, since the 80s for for Tigger, of course, is back, and he's great. And a lot of these voices, they all fit these characters. Like, all the characters I remember as a kid. Like, all these characters feel like the new voice actors or the ones that came back. They feel like they work really well with these characters. And I really did enjoy them. So overall, the movie I really, really dug. I thought it was really great. And it surprised me, honestly, because I knew it was going to be fine at least. But I didn't feel like I'd get an emotional connection out of it over Winnie the Pooh, because Winnie the Pooh was something that it never stayed with me after I was little. Like, Disney movies, every other thing but Disney I can watch now. But Winnie the Pooh is one of those things where it's just like, after I was like 7 or 8, I just stopped watching Winnie the Pooh. And it's kind of a shame, because this kind of brought back my love for it, because I really did love these characters in this movie and really enjoyed them. They were all funny. They were all incredibly likable, incredibly sweet. It's just a really sweet movie, and it really just works on that basis alone. Like, it's just an incredibly sweet, fine movie. Like, it's really entertaining. Great performances. It's also beautiful too. It's a beautiful looking movie. I like the fact that they also use a lot of story imagery, like from picture books, which is what the book was, and I really like that they use picture illustrations in some of the movie too. So I really, really dug it. Just go out and see this. If you're a fan of Winnie the Pooh, if you're a fan of Disney, like, I thought that this was a great movie that didn't have to rely on pop culture references. But like I said, with Disney movies now, even if they do, it's not like it's the whole movie. It's just, this one feels more timeless, and this one is one of those rare Disney movies nowadays where it feels genuinely timeless. So I really dug it, and I really, really hope you guys go out and see it.